Hello, this is part 2 of the handwriting exercise. Now, we ended up with drawing out our sentence there. And what we're going to do in the layers palette now is click on the new layer icon and choose group. And then we're going to take the mask, drag that into the group, and the pencil, and drag that above the mask. And now on the folder in this group, double click it, click on the masking tab, and click on Hide All. Click OK. And then double click on the pencil layer. Click on the masking tab and click Don't Mask this layer and click OK. And then double click on the mask, click on the masking tab, and it should say Add to Mask and click OK. Now go to frame 1 in the timeline. And then over here in the tools, click on the icon for stroke exposure. And now click near the end. Well, actually, the end is by the T here. On your stroke line, hold your left mouse button down and then pull backwards to the left. You'll see the stroke line is starting to disappear. So if you need to, you can lift up and click again and keep going until it's completely gone. And now in the timeline, we're going to go to frame 216. And at frame 216, we're going to do the opposite. Click on that stroke path, hold the left mouse button down, and start pulling in the other direction. And keep going. Don't forget that you need to keep going until finally that little bit there that crosses the T, so that you get everything. And so if you watched what's happened so far, then you've got this animation that looks like someone's writing. Okay, so you could stop there, but I want to show you how you can make the pencil follow that path. Now I've zoomed in just a bit, and now we need to click on the pencil layer in the Layers palette. Please note that I set the origin point for the pencil right at the tip. Now, we're probably going to have to mess around with the pencil a little bit before we get it to accurately follow this path. But for starting out, in the tools, click on Transform Layer, move the pencil closer to just the very beginning of when you first started drawing out your first letter. And then over here, click on Follow Path, and then go to frame 1 in the timeline. Now you'll see the outline of the path of the writing, okay? And I'm going to zoom in even more. I need to click near the beginning of this path. When I do, the pencil may jump away. So this is what I meant by sometimes we have to sort of fiddle with this a little bit. Now I'm going to zoom out and see that the pencil ended up way the heck over there. So I'm going back to frame 0, and once again, click on Transform Layer, and go back there, and put the pencil tip at the beginning of the letter. Once again, I'll click on the Follow Path icon. I'll go to frame 1 and try it one more time, clicking right at the beginning of this path. All right, that seemed to work this time. And then looking up here for the settings for the Follow Path tool, right now it's a 0.1, and I'm just going to change it to a 0 and hit Enter. All right, and that did make a small adjustment to where the tip is at. It's still very close, and it should be fine. So I'm going to zoom out. Now all I need to do is go to frame 216, which is where we ended up that handwriting path for it showing up. And up here in this field next to percentage, I'm going to put a 100% and hit enter. So now the pencil has jumped over to just that end part where I crossed the T. So if I click back, there's a couple of more things we need to do to even out the timing on it. So in the timeline, I'm going to zoom out. I want to see the beginning and the end keyframes. I'm going to select both and point over top of one of the keyframes, right mouse button click, choose linear. Now I need to go back to the mask and everything's selected. I think I should deselect all that, select none. And for the mask, I'm going to, well, let me deselect follow path here. I'll click on transform layer, select all of these, right mouse button click, and select linear. Now they should match up for their timing, so I'll test it. Okay. That was a little bit hard to see because I left it on that mask layer, and if I clicked somewhere else, like down there, and push play again, might be a little bit better. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good illusion. All right. And you wouldn't necessarily have to do this with handwriting, okay? It could be any kind of drawing activity that you'd want to show. But in order for it to follow a path, you do have to have a continuous line. And then if you wanted to, you could go back over to the pencil layer and perhaps with transform layer throughout this period of time in the timeline, maybe you could have the pencil rocking back and forth a little bit, okay, so that the scribbling maybe doesn't look quite as rigid. So that's the basic technique for animating handwriting or any kind of a drawing activity. If you have any questions, please email me.